Well, joining us from Florida are some of the students who have organised a protest march on Washington and other US cities next month. Alex Wynn, Sophie Whitney, Alfonso Cordodan and Chris Grady, great to have you with us here this morning. What you've been through is unspeakable. So thanks very much for sharing this. And I know you want to speak now, you want to speak out. Alex, I know you particularly feel now is the moment for gun reform.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we just want to thank you for having us on this show and being able to express our platform for change. You know, gun reform and gun safety is a huge issue in our country. And, you know, politicians receiving money from the National Rifle Association is absolutely absurd, we believe. And we believe that there needs to be stricter background checks. There needs to be stricter laws so more children don't die. That's the biggest issue here. Children are dying. 17 children died at my high school this past Valentine's Day, and that was 17 too many. And on March 24th, we're going to go to Washington, D.C., and we will march, and we will demand change from our Congress, from our representatives, and we will demand action.
Sophie, just take us back to what happened on Wednesday. You were in a drama class, weren't you, and didn't realise when you first heard the sound that actually there was a shooter in the school.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. You never think you're going to hear a gunshot at school, and that is why this is so important. Our march, it's called the March for Our Lives, and this is going to make it sure that this is the last time we ever have to go through this. No one should ever have to endure what we went through on Wednesday.
Alfonso Calderon, there are lots of people who will support over here gun reform. You know, we've experienced something similar in a school, but there was instant action taken, and as a result, you know, people in the UK feel safer. What we find extraordinary over here is that that instant action isn't taken when this happens. And in fact, you know, this is what happened at your school is tragically considered not to be the last time that this might happen. What needs to change, do you think, to make your politicians actually take action?
I think two things in this country severely need to change. First of all, the attitude of the politicians and of the people. The gun culture in America is honestly unacceptable because it is causing children to lose their lives. Parents will not have their kids on Valentine's Day, for Christmases, for Thanksgivings, for things that make family, family. And second of all, policy. Policy needs to change. This isn't people taking away guns. It isn't even reform. It is common sense. Stricter background checks need to be taken seriously. Nicholas Cruz and other shooters always have the same telltale signs, and Nicholas Cruz had been reported to the police 39 times since 2010. 39 times. He had been expelled from school, and if that doesn't disqualify someone from owning an assault rifle, an AR-15, a military-grade weapon, I don't know what does.
We spoke to some students involved in this literally hours after it happened. One of them, Nick Heyman, on this show we spoke to them. One of them, Nick Heyman, said he was for the Second Amendment. He believed in owning guns. He said the problem wasn't gun ownership. It was the fact that actually schools needed to be armed. Security personnel needed to be armed. There needed to be more of them, even teachers in some cases. Is that a route that would work?
I don't think that's a reasonable response. Honestly, there were security guards on school campus who were armed, and nothing changed. We need teachers, we need educators, we need people to shape our young minds and our future. We do not need a military war zone in our schools.
And you know, if I may say something about that as well.
Yes, of course.
If I may, you know, everyone talks about what happens if a kid snaps with a weapon. Well, what happens if a teacher snaps? If a teacher is in a classroom with, like the classroom I was in with 65 other students, what happens if a teacher gets angry and pulls their trigger on all 65 of them? Okay? What happens in a college campus with upwards of hundreds of students in a classroom, a teacher gets angry and pulls the trigger on hundreds of students. What happens if a student sneaks in and steals a teacher's weapon? Okay, arming the teachers does not solve the issue.
No, and I think, you know, many people here in the UK would share that idea that the answer is not more guns and more people being armed. It's to do something about the people who are getting access to the guns and minimising gun ownership. Chris Grady, you've signed up for the military after you leave school, but you want tighter gun control. What do you make? Over the weekend, there was a very powerful protest, and students and protesters shouting shame on you about the politicians who accept money from the NRA for their campaigns. And one of the spokespeople, Emma Gonzalez, had said, you know, President Trump himself in receipt of $30 million from the NRA. Do you think that's contaminating politicians and how they approach gun reform?
Absolutely, I do. It's disgusting that they feel that money is more important than innocent children's lives. You know, but what happened in Newtown in 2012, those kids were too young to speak out about what happened, but we're not, and we want to be the voices for thousands of children whose lives have been affected by this.
Well, do you know what? All four of you are powerful spokespeople for change. And frankly, if people aren't listening to you, I don't know who they're listening to, because what you've been through is unimaginable for us, and you've survived, and your strength is so clear and your courage so obvious. And, you know, we wish you all the very best. There is that protest march, March the 24th, hashtag March for Our Lives. And, you know, let's hope that it achieves what you want it to achieve, because no school, nobody should go through what you went through last Wednesday. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and all the very best from us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Incredible group of youngsters. Very powerful, very powerful.
How can they
You'd think it'd be
possibly
very
be
hard
ignored?
for politicians to ignore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Very interesting. Lots more still to come, though. You're watching Good Morning Britain on ITV.
Baraka presents Baraka, you but on a really good day.
At Morrison's, all these Easter eggs are £1 each. Easter, Morrison's makes it.
Is it possible to help prevent hair damage? We have 2 delicate roses. One rose is treated with Dove,